All right, everybody, let's roll. Based in the Woods, number 7. We're getting out here early today. Well, we started that way, so we're gonna keep it that way. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Always thought about editing out the awkward early part, but what fun would that be? You know? We got to get the whole experience here. All right. Well, I thought about bringing my glasses because it's not going to be not bright forever, but I need to wake up, so we'll get some bright sunshine. Let's make it wide. There we go. Wide angle. Whew, my coffee's burning me. Look at that bush. Doesn't that look... Bush. Bench. Bush. Doesn't that look inviting? Oh. This is going to be dark. But it should get brighter as we go along. You can see the stars still. Isn't that cool? Felt like I owed you guys one of these. I haven't done one in a while. They're not real popular, but I feel like the people that would like them would really like them. This is going to be pretty with the sun coming up this morning. I'm trying out this Lark mic on, I set it on low. It's a little breezy. I might have wanted to put the windscreen on, but I decided against it. Woo, this is gonna be dark for a while. We're gonna eyeball it. It's kind of hard to carry my coffee and do this at the same time, but we'll make it work. Trying to reset my sleep schedule. I think I probably slept maybe a good hour. I laid in bed for 4 or 5 hours. So not a whole lot, but summer always does that to me. Summer always does that to me. And the new school year always feels like a fresh start. So I have flashbacks to my senior year in high school. I think I woke up the first day of school and tried to run a mile. And I realize now that I'm older and slightly wiser that I have a tendency to overdo it, whatever I'm doing. I go way too hard right out the bat. So, should have walked a mile instead of ran it. I think I did it one day, and I was like, that's miserable. And I gave up. And never liked running, really. I liked running in intervals. I used to run intervals out here. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? It's beautiful. I wonder if the 1X is prettier. It might be. Anyway. Yeah, I ran intervals. Like I'd run for a minute, walk for a minute. And I like that. And I really like to run with a heart rate monitor. I'm sure I've probably talked about that on here before, but just couldn't remember it. But yeah, I'd set my like upper limit at like 150, bottom limit at 130, good aerobic zone. And I could just go in there for a long time. I think Based in the Woods number 3 was an early morning stream like this. I remember running on that one, but I think that was in August of last year, right before school started, or maybe a couple weeks into school. I can't remember. I'd have to look back and see. But yeah, trying to get back into it. It's funny how it works. It's like summer breaks are awesome as a teacher. I mean, it's one of the big perks of the job. You get treated kind of like you're in the professional class, and you get paid like you work full-time at Walmart. So they sweeten the deal with summers off. That keeps us happy, keeps the natives restless, keeps the natives from getting restless. Sorry, it's 5:30 in the morning. But yeah, I tend to slip back into my teenage ways, especially since my kids are young, and it's really fun just to be home with them, and especially to wake up with them, because they're so sweet and snuggly. And now that I kind of talk it through, I don't really know if I would give that up to be more productive. So maybe I'll look back one day and think I made the right decision. But that experience is being cut off with going back to work anyway. So I absolutely love teaching. Like I've told you guys before, I think I would still teach. I don't even know if you can see me with the light like this, so I may just face forward. You can't really see that either. That's okay too. But yeah, I'd still teach if I had $1 million. So it's not that I don't like teaching. I do. I just like building my own thing on here too. My own kind of business. My own kind of network. My own clientele. Being my weird ass self on the internet, you know. It's kind of fun. And I took my laptop down to the editing bay. So when I get back, I'm hoping to do some editing for a while. But honestly, editing is just not fun. It's not for me, at least. It feels a whole lot like homework. even when I do a decent job on it, it just feels like, yeah, well, you could have done that better, Tyler. There's always that voice in the back of my head. You could have done that better, Tyler. What were you thinking? Oh, something splashed. Could have done that better, Tyler. I've been thinking about that. That's really hard with investing. If you beat up on yourself for your past mistakes, you just, you really begin to hate that process. Because you always tell yourself, well, if I'd only done this and I'd only done that, then I'd have millions of dollars or whatever. And some people do that, but I think a lot more people have to blow up their account a few times to get it right. And there's so many opportunities to switch up your system or just throw in the towel. I'll never throw in the towel. I dig it too much, but you got to look to the future. You know, do better in the future. Do better today. I think that's the big thing. It's all about habits. Tiny habits. Tiny habits. Speaking of, I think my promise to this channel was to do one based in the woods a month. And I think our first one was August 2022. It is now August 2023, and we're on number 7. So I have a 50% win rate on these. But I'm hoping in the fall, I'm gonna mix up my trails a little bit. There's one I really want to do called the Devil's Well Trail. And it's a long one. It's about 6 miles. I'll be glad when I drink all this coffee. I'm gonna put this cup down. But we're gonna get that one. And I want to do it right when the leaves change. So I think I'll try to make up some of these videos maybe once a weekend in September and October. Get the best years of the best months of the prettiest hiking videos for y'all, and put those up for my brain dump. The brain dump sessions these are kind of just for me, really. I just video my own internal monologue for an hour and a half and try out some new equipment. Question why I'm doing this in 4K in the dark. It's always a good question. Reminds me I'm gonna have to dump my phone here soon. I got a 4 terabyte hard drive waiting to eat it. So we'll get here soon. So many insecurities to push through. I've wore this shirt on, I think 3 of these. Who cares? I took like 2 whole totes of my old clothes. Maybe like my nice button-ups and stuff. I mean, they're still nice. I'd still wear them to like a job interview. They weren't that old, but ooh, I like this part. But yeah, the consignment shop, they offered me $6 which I think I paid $24 just to buy the totes to put the clothes in. So that was not a success. But I tried. And so many clothes in the American world. I don't know. I still feel like I should donate them, to Goodwill or something. I know somebody else would like them because I still kind of like them. Just got too many. They build up. And let's go widescreen so you can see some more. See some more of the forest. More of my beautiful face this morning. That's another one. I didn't really want to record this morning because you don't want to take a shower before you walk 4 miles. Also got to get into school today. Our first contracted school day is tomorrow. We're just going in and doing a work day. And I think I'm close enough to not jinx it. But if I can make it through tomorrow, one work day, I have tenure. As a school teacher, tenure was made for people like me. In the 1950s, all the commie school teachers were fired. The FBI came in and said, here's a list of the sympathizers and the fellow travelers. And yep, after that Red Scare witch hunt, even though we read the Crucible in class and things like that, it's still nice to know that you get a little bit of protection to be a real academic at the high school level. It's easy to demean public school or high school or whatever. You could say, oh, it's not the university, but I mean, you're 1 year on the other side of the university. It's kind of how I see my class. All the EOCs are done. So I just kind of treat 11th and 12th grade like college. Without all the crazy stuff these days. I guess colleges are getting real crazy. I don't know how much of that's reality and how much is the news. But I just like to have deep conversations. That's what I like in my classroom. Why are we here? You know, is there a God? Who controls the society? And it's fun because if you teach literature, you have to cover those kind of questions. You don't want to pick a side or preach or tell kids they're dumb if they believe this or that, but I'm not that kind of person anyway. I would never say stuff like that. So I don't really worry about it. We're getting some sun up now. We're still in the wide angle. It's okay, I can hold this a little closer. Hoping the audio comes out okay. I bought a lapel mic for this. It's like a $30 one. And then when I filmed the CPI Missouri stuff, I splurged for these. This is like $200 Lark mic setup. I think about that, I always feel bad. There's a part of me that feels bad that I'm trying to work through Because if you ever want to go into business for yourself, you got to figure out how to be okay with this. But, well, this is kind of pretty. Making money, you know. I got some supporters on Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. And I'm so grateful for all you guys. You're the start of the dream, you know. But sometimes I'll be like, I just have that voice in your head, like, who am I to take somebody's money? Even if they want to give it to me, I still feel, I don't know. It's a weird, I think it's a working class indoctrination, or I'm just not sure if I'm providing enough value. But, you know, it's voluntary. And sometimes I got to remind myself I have spent a lot of money on a bunch of equipment to do this. You know, it's not a whole lot. It's not like Hollywood level, but it's thousands of dollars. So, still paying on this phone. What is it, like 120 a month? Something like that. Ugh. I've got a hypothesis that getting 10,000 steps in before you do anything else will make a much more productive day. Just to get out and get moving. Good things will come of that. We have made some major milestones on this channel. Me and Dave got out our first podcast, Dat Morning Show, episode 1. We talked for a couple hours, and it's one of those things while we were talking, I didn't really know how we were doing, but I listened back to it, I think twice, and I thought it was pretty funny. My favorite part was when Dave said, he talked about how the CIA was hiding in the bushes at the crucifixion of Christ. And I was like, Dave, don't tell me the CIA is behind Jesus too. I gotta believe in something. And that's just taking something to such a ridiculous level. I think it's funny because when conspiracy theories go too far, you know, can they go too far? I don't really know anymore, the way it's looking. But for the CIA to be behind the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, it seems a little too far. You gotta believe in something, or you'll fall for anything. I think that's how the saying goes. So, today I'm practicing well, not fully, but a little bit, an independently wealthy stream. If I was working for myself, how would my day look? Probably be coming out here every morning and walking just like this, getting my 10,000 steps in, and then going back home and editing video. One of the audiobooks I've recorded into a higher quality version. I've went back and forth on whether just like leave the audio as is with mistakes in it, or go back through and try to cut out the mistakes and re-record a quality version. And I'm leaning towards the second, just because, well, the next book I'm doing is my buddy Caleb Maupin's America, Where Are We Going? And he wants to put it up on the CPI website. So I want to do a good professional job for my friend and comrade, Mr. Maupin. And if I can fix something, I'll fix it. My favorite wave editor I've ever used in my life was Adobe Edition. And I've swore off Adobe because of their pay every damn month model, or whatever it is. So my options are GarageBand. I could buy Logic, but I've never liked editing audio in Logic. I could try it in Ableton, but Ableton snaps to the beat, which is not what I really need. I'm sure there's a way to do it in Logic and Ableton. Just turn off snap to beat or whatnot, but Audition is made to edit a WAV file from what I've seen. It's not made to make music like Logic and Ableton. So maybe Audacity? Audacity's free. I know people really fly with it. But honestly, I'm just gonna try to use GarageBand. Mainly, even though GarageBand's like Logic, and GarageBand's totally made to make music with. Although I think up at the top I can turn beats to time, and then maybe that'll work better. I've never found that feature. But I don't know the shortcut keys very well for that. I don't know how to like ripple delete, things like that. It's gonna be a lot of tinkering. Editing for me is not fun. I don't know if anyone likes editing. I'm sure some people do, but I do not. It's one of my little favorite parts here. Ugh. Gotta get this coffee done. Although I think when I get the coffee done, I'll have to go to the bathroom, so that's not good. We'll have to make 2 videos for that. Not for going to the bathroom, but so you don't have to see me go to the bathroom. Well, I guess I could set it up outside the outhouse and film some beautiful footage of the lake, but that'd be kind of disturbing because you'd know what was going on. Nah, whatever. Dan Coase had some great posts lately about the reason you're not successful is because you don't want to embarrass yourself. And if you have any kind of quirky personality at all, or you want to share your ideas with the public, you might as well just embrace embarrassing yourself up front and keep at it a little bit every day. My pull-ups with straps this morning in the park were pretty embarrassing, but also kind of encouraging, and could also be really cool if I get good at pull-ups, get good at working out, get ripped. Oh, this is much better. Now we can see where we're going. Oh yeah. Now we're dealing with normal daytime experience. The only thing I don't like about making videos out here is that I love to listen to other people's videos when I walk. But you know, one for me and one for thee. Think about that sometimes. If I don't make videos, some people watch them. It's amazing to me sometimes, but people do. Some people legitimately seem to like them. It's pretty cool. But if nobody was on the old YouTube making videos, there'd be nothing to watch. You know? And I remember before I started doing this last year, so nervous to put up the first video. I thought I'd like walk into work and it'd be like a record scratch, like, everyone's watched your video and we've taken notes. We've got timestamps of every weird facial expression you ever made. And this was somewhat controversial. No one cared. The internet is a big place. We're just making pretty nature videos. That might be the thumbnail right there. Let's take a little snap. Oh yeah. Oh. Based in the Woods number 7. I think my buddy Dave is gonna come down here and do some work with our other buddy Ron, so that morning show episode 2 will be filmed, down here at Fishwater Creek. Should be nice. 2 boys from the Ozarks on top. This video itself is part of the Ozarks on Top expanded universe. The Tyler McConnell comics. Adventures of a School Teacher. Yeah, so how many books do I have to edit now? Caleb's book is next on the list, and then after that, we'll edit the Michael Hudson book, Destiny of Civilization. I fell behind on my streams. Got to catch up on those. I realized a lot of it is when I moved all my mic equipment to go do my podcast with Dave. It becomes, well, if you read any habit book, they talk about the way to keep a habit going is to have, your environment set up to provide your cue. So you get the cue, you go, man, I should do a live stream. And then you get the craving, which for me, the craving is feeling like I did it, pretty much. I mean, the engagement's pretty cool. My own personal live streams, they don't always hit. It's kind of weird because on YouTube, you'll get like far more engagement with your shorts, or at least I do as a new creator. I can't believe I'm using this language. A new creator. A new creator. What is an influencer? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I have found another YouTube channel I really like. It's an economics professor. Seems like a sweet young gal. She's a doctor, so I hope you're not offended by that, Dr. Ashley. But you never really struck me as the type that would be offended if your channel is the new enlightening, the new enlightenment with Ashley. It's not Dr. Sullivan or whatever, which makes me appreciate it. Me and my wife were trying to figure out your Myers-Briggs type. I don't know. We decided definitely an intuitive, but perceiver. You obviously love to collect ideas, but you've made it through academia, so it could be a J. And the feeler, thinker, it's up in the air. Introverted, extrovert, up in the air. I kind of think you might be an introvert because although you love teaching, so you'd be in front of people, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I know for me, I am so, well, I don't know if I'm so extroverted because I like to do stuff like this and be by myself, but love an audience. An audience motivates me. Old drama kid from high school, but my drama teacher, who I actually teach with now, He told me the reason I was a good thespian was because I don't act like a thespian. I don't act like a drama kid. It always kind of cringed me out. But then they're like, yeah, but we need you to be in that play because you'll memorize it and actually try to act like the character. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that, sure. Oh, spider webs. I have spider webs in my face. Oh. Oh, the work I put in for you, YouTube. It's amazing. I'm going to try not to spit on camera anymore. That's kind of gross. I didn't think about it. But I also took an allergy pill, but my nose is just running today. Need a hanky. This is all kinds of sweaty mess. Walk through the woods. It's fine. We've talked about going to the bathroom. It's all good. It's all good. Oh, as long as we don't run into a bear or angry she-wolf. I did. I can't remember what stream that was on. I think it was a second based in the woods. I ran into like a dog with a big old pear who was very angry with me, and that was spooky. We didn't really get it on video, but you got me being frightened on video. That did happen. Oh, look at this. This is wonderful. Oh, man, that'd be a good thumbnail too. Oh. Let's see how this 1X camera looks. It's so much clearer, isn't it? So much clearer. I think the 1X, at least on this iPhone 13, is so much prettier. Oh, there's somebody fishing. We don't want to bother him. I don't like to mess people's day up, you know. They're out here getting some beautiful solitude. The beautiful lake. That is my favorite spot, though. That's alright. He made it there first. Early bird gets the worm. Or catches the fish with the worm. I'm not gonna mess up this beauty with me in the frame here. It's the gorgeous morning. The gorgeous morning. But yeah, I said we were practicing. This is what YouTube self-sufficient lifestyle would look like. Wake up. Nice long walk, get my exercise in, do some push, pull, squat, hinge exercises, whichever day it is, and go back, start the official work day, which would be 2 hours of editing. It's about how much I can think of doing every day without wanting to jump off a bridge. And then 2 hours of live streams to provide more material for the editing down the line. So 4 hours a day. It's about how much work you can do without wanting to not do it anymore. Of creative work. I mean, you can do like working at the drive-thru for 12 hours a day. It's soul crushing, but it doesn't really require being fresh or creative like mental work does. Mental work, is it Cal Newport? Did he write Deep Work? 4 hours a day. It's about how much you can do without hitting a level of diminishing returns. Can't remember who wrote Peak, the book Peak, about peak performers, but they usually practice 4 hours a day. Was like pianists. Always feel dirty saying that word. Pianists, piano players, or chess masters, or mental work people. Programmers, I don't know a whole lot about programming, but I would guess once you hit more than 4 hours of programming, you're hitting diminishing returns of creative goodness there. Love those colors in the morning. Coffee always makes me have to go potty, and I'm drinking a big old pot of coffee. We can push through. I think we can make it. I think we can make it. Based in the Woods, number 7. I had a real mind dump on Based in the Woods of 1. I remember that, talking about Jimmy Dore and Chapo Trap House. And we ran into an old lady who told us you shouldn't film in the woods. That was interesting. I remember all that. Should have worn my waterproof hiking boots because these athletic shoes are getting wet. Oh. This might go up tomorrow. So it's gonna be, that's a good little fishing spot there. It's gonna be take a while to upload. Oh. What's new? What's new in the YouTube channel? You know, not a whole lot, honestly. We're just in the grind stage. Grind it out. Try to make it a routine. Ironically, sometimes I think I'm more productive when I work a full-time job, because you gotta get up and get in work mode. And then when you head home, you're in work mode still, so you can knock out some work. Oh man. Try to make sure these are clear. Oh, that looks better. A little bit. This one. It's hard to tell which one is which. That should be good enough. Yeah, there's a pack it's at the top of my to get list. It's you wear it on your front, like right here, and eventually you'll see me wearing that on these Based in the Woods streams. But I like it. I don't want to say on camera necessarily what I will keep inside of it while walking deep into the woods, but you can use your imagination. Help me feel a little better about crazy animals and things I run into. Oh man, this is a hurdle though. I think after being out here and running into like 50 spider webs right in my face, I really want to go home and take a shower. But there's so much to the habit routine. What is it? What does the Atomic Habits dude say? James Clear. You got the Q. I read The Power of Habit and he didn't have the 4. I think James Clear added in craving. I think in The Power of Habit it was Q, routine, reward. I think. And then James Clear added in craving as the second step instead of routine. So there's the Q. Let's see how I ended up here today. The Q. Okay, school's starting back up. You need to wake up early and get your 10,000 steps in. Ooh, it's not officially a school day, so you can go walk around the lake. It's your last chance to do it this summer. So that was the craving, which led to the routine of me walking around the lake, one of my favorite routines. And the reward is this beautiful nature bath, which heals my mind and soul and gets cobwebs on my face. What's the difference between a cobweb and a spider web? I don't think literally much difference. Cobweb's been there a while. Is that the difference? I believe. Cobweb's been there a while. Let's talk about how people get big on YouTube from what I've seen. Okay? You can make really good content, or you can make a lot of content. I don't know which of those two we're doing. The shorts every day are definitely the latter, but as I've said before, look at this, gorgeous. Shorts are kind of like disposable tissues. That's what I see them as. Whew, my feet are getting soaked through. You watch them once and they disappear. I think I had a dream that I looked at one of my shorts and it had this was my thumbnail for Base in the Woods number 3. I was looking at one of my shorts in a dream in YouTube Studio and it had 33 million views. That's never happened to me. It might have. They were going up. They were letting some of them get through. And then, let's count to 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I feel chill, man. It's hard to get up and keep going, but we can do it. We can do it. All right. Okay. the sound comes out okay on this. I set it on low because medium's is so boomy when it's right in front of you like that. But I looked at levels, we had mostly green and a little yellow on low, so should be all right. Should come out okay. I could upload this video into GarageBand and then output it with a compressor and an equalizer and go with God, everyone that does that. Once I start thinking like that, I just don't want to do anything anymore. So I'm hoping that just by staying consistent, I can pick up on little things like that and just slowly implement them into my YouTube routine and go from there. So every day a little better. But like the book says, just effing ship. Every version better. Every version better. Whew. Think of everything I've put on YouTube so far. We're about an hour into this, so only the real OGs will listen. Of everything I've put on here so far, what I've been most embarrassed about is my fasting routine. I'm looking forward to the day when I can be on camera and not really be embarrassed about my belly or whatever, double chin. But I don't know. I'm tweaking it, you know? I'm figuring it out. I'm figuring out what works for me, and it might take a decade. I think it already has. I really started like wanting to lose weight when I went to grad school. I turned 26 and I got to be a little bit too big of a fan of the IPAs. Cut those out of my life, but yeah. Still got a soft spot for pizza and fast food, and with the family, it's like to eat out when you go on vacation or whatever, and you can still do that. You just need to make it a once a week thing. For me, it's like I go back and forth between like crazy dieting. That's what I was doing with that fasting routine. I mean, I was eating 3 times a week. So fasting 2 48-hour fasts, 1 72-hour fast. And that's just not sustainable. I mean, who's gonna live like that forever? Because in my mind, it was like, well, once I lose the weight, then I can go back and do the occasional pizza or whatever. But for me, I don't know, man. It's hard to find that balance, because once you do one pizza, why not do another pizza, you know? So that's why I'm trying to focus more on finding a workout routine that works for me. I've never really worked out consistently. Try to go to the gym, and I just hate going to the gym. Don't feel at place in the gym, so kind of looked around at people doing workout routines, and one of the first ones that ever stuck out to me was like male gymnasts. I was like, those dudes are ripped, they have real functional strength, and they can do cool things with their bodies, like hang upside down and just pull themselves up like it's nothing. So started looking into it, found Tao Fitness, T-A-O Fitness. I really like that guy. He reminds me of my friend Derek. There's an old video of my buddy Derek on here. Derek was the gym teacher And he was my little brother's best friend growing up. And we taught together for 5 years. He would have had tenure at Salem this year, but he fell in love with a girl from Illinois. So he's up there in Illinois this year, and he's got a great, I think he's kinesiology coach or something. I don't know, it's something that he really wants to do. It's perfect for him, so I'm super happy for him. But anyway, Dow Fitness kind of reminds me of him, a laid back dude, ripped, always makes other people feel like you can do it too, man. So anyway, I saw some people like that, and I got a pair of rings. I bought them the other day at Academy, $30. They make me a little nervous because they're weight rated for 350 pounds. And I know some of the ones on Amazon are rated for like 1,000 pounds. So I don't know if that's for real. I think the most I've ever got up to was like 202. My high school weight was around 150. So I need to lose about 50. That's my goal. But I realized here recently it's diet and exercise. It's like, I heard some scientists say the exercise doesn't really work that much to burn off the fat, but it's super important for helping you adhere to an exercise, to a diet. Like if you exercise consistently, then your diet will kind of help. It'll kind of help clean up your diet. Like it releases hormones that make it easier to eat correctly. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. There's something intuitively tells me that getting 10,000 steps in before you do anything else could be the key for me, as they talked about in The Power of Habit. Could be one of the keystone habits. Get up early, get 10,000 steps in. I think even if I wasn't really productive in my work, I would still feel like I had a productive day if I did those two things. Just those two. And I don't know if when school starts, if I'll be able to get 10,000 before I go to school. Kind of what I do in the morning is I wake up at 4:44 a.m. I can't remember exactly why I did that. If I had a dream to do that, or felt like I had some Jungian synchronicity there, but I have an alarm go off at 4:44, and the rule is you got to have your feet on the ground by 4:45. This has been real sporadic, but I'm hoping to make it a cornerstone habit. I did it today. I filmed the coffee pot at 4:45. And I thought maybe if I do, since shorts are like tissues, maybe I could try to string 365 shorts together of me waking up before 5 for a straight year. And I would, another spider web. You would hope that you'd have a habit of waking up early after a year. But I heard James Clear in an interview, they were asking him, like, how many days do you have to do a habit for it to become a habit? Is it 66 days? It was like a morning news show, you know, real shallow. And he goes, actually, the truth is, a habit is built every day. Because if there's one day you don't do it, you didn't really do the habit that day. It's not that much of a habit. So it's a lifestyle choice. And I always hear that about like dieting too, and I always just rolled my eyes at it, like lifestyle choice, like yeah, whatever. Like no, tell me the trick. Is it the keto diet? Is it the fasting? Is it you give me something radical I can do? But the thing is, like, I really do think that's wisdom, is just knowledge gained by living, trying to solve problems, figuring out what works. And that kind of just clicked with me as like, it's really kind of like wisdom is learning how to solve problems while working with human nature, with your own human nature. You know, because when you try to work against it, you fail. You fail in your diet, your physical exercise routine, your finances. Maybe you chase the new shiny crypto and you lose the gains from your old tried and true workhorse crypto. Done that before. Maybe you think just one blueberry muffin. Maybe just one McDonald's hotcakes. Before you know it, you've gained back all of the weight, or you've lost all of the money. So that's finances and physical health. What else is there? Maybe you take one day off work. Before you know it, you haven't done a live stream in a month. You fall behind on your grading. I don't know. I have a tendency to get in my head and beat myself up, and that does not help you be more productive at all. It's a cool tree. It does not help you be more productive. Really what you guys kind of witness out here is the angel and the devil in my head talking to each other for an hour and a half. I'm blessed. I think it is temperament. Now that I had kids, I think you just kind of come out of the womb with a certain psychological makeup, and I was blessed to, I feel like I have more angel than devil. I was talking about this with somebody close to me last night, that I always rather be nice and get taken advantage of than be mean and I guess not get taken advantage of. Like I don't, like if I'm nice and get taken advantage of, or trust someone and they take advantage of me, or lose my trust or whatever, that is like way easier for me than just not trusting people at all. Because that's such a cynical, jaded way to live. And for me, it would lead to suicide. I'm absolutely sure. Like I can't allow that coldness into my life, you know. Or I made a short video about that the other day. I showed someone close to me, a family member, that video of me protesting in front of the White House, and which, there went my algorithm support for this video. And they told me, pretty much like kind of guilt tripped me, like, why are you doing that? You have a family. It's like, well, Joe Biden has a family. Donald Trump has a family. Che Guevara had a big family. You know, I don't know. It's nothing in this world's gonna change if everybody's afraid of the CIA. I will not live in fear of the CIA or the IRS or whatever three-letter agency, FBI, whatever. You can come to my house and kill me. You can put me in prison. Put me next to Julian Assange. I'm still going to try to speak my truth and do things in the world. I'm not going to live in fear of you guys anymore. Do what you need to do. Living in fear ain't living, people. Glenn Greenwald said that the other day before he put out an article. He thought, like, is this smart? Am I going to piss off the wrong people? And then he said, you know what? I hit publish anyway. You know why? Because that's living. It ain't living the other way. Just be safe all the time. It's not a way to live. I'm taking a lot of pictures now. I like this sunshine. So, more of that. Say we're about 2/3 of the way done with this trail. How long we've been filming? An hour and 6 minutes? Yeah, about 30 more minutes. Then we'll be done. These live streams will be pretty cool. They're not live streams, but they're videos I recorded and premiered. I think it'd be cool years later to look back and see how far we've come with the channel, because I plan to do this until YouTube deletes me or I die. And like I said, my theory of YouTube is just the longer you stay in the game, the more successful you get at it. It seems to be an algorithm thing. Keep your fish, keep your line in the water every day. There's some other people that really motivate me to keep going. One has bleached his hair, gotten the 2 little interesting earrings in. He keeps me going with 1 million subscribers. It's whenever I think, who am I to do this? I think of them. So that happens a lot with creators of any sort, I'd say. And that's the thing. I've talked about this a lot. I don't want him to quit. Keep it up, man. Even if you're lying, whatever. Self-aggrandizing your ego, just keep it up. But I'm not going to stop either. It's that Emerson quote, you know. You speak today's truth in harsh words. Speak tomorrow's truth in harsh words as well, even if it contradicts everything you say today, which in your case, it kind of does. Look at that, right across the tree. Nice spider web there. We're going to avoid that one. But I'll do the same, you know? No one else is better than you. You're not better than anyone else. But in the creator attention economy, if you're not creating or at least giving people a chance to pay attention to you, you're probably just wage slaving away. Which I'm sure the AI will mine all my thoughts, but who cares? Mine away, AI. I don't think you're as powerful as people think you are. You can do some cool essay parlor tricks based off a bunch of things humans have already done. Good on you for that. Which I guess is kind of what humans do too, but I don't know. I just don't think you can put a mind in a computer. I don't think Python programming language equals dopamine, serotonin, and the spirit that somehow intercedes in all that chemical electric goo inside your head. I don't even know if your spirit is in your brain. I love that that's the hard problem of consciousness. They haven't solve that one. Materialists get a little overconfident sometimes, and you got to humble them up. But what is it they're all working towards? Artificial general intelligence? Or they think you'll be able to upload your consciousness into a computer. I'm not big on making predictions, but I will make one in this case. I don't think we'll see that in our lifetime. In my lifetime. I don't think that will happen. It might be a replication of your personality in an AI, but it's not your consciousness. I don't think that's possible. If the materialists are right, I give it the year 2300. If they're right, and I don't think they're right. I don't think it'll ever happen. And if that, what's that thing where the AI comes after people that didn't help it exist? I can't remember it. But, come after me, buddy. You and the CIA and everybody else. Come find me. I'm not gonna not say what I think, because I'm afraid of you. Not. Faith over fear. Yes, it's on a t-shirt. Doesn't make it less true. Faith over fear. I dumped all these natty cans. They weren't mine, but they were in the trail, and I put them over there, and I need to come back through and pick them up, throw them away. I like to keep the trail clean. I'm older and became a parent. It's very funny. I don't like to see beer cans around. I found a blunt wrapper out here one time, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that was just laying on the ground. And it had a name, like Sweet Daddy or something like. I was like, Super Kush. Trying to sound cool. I don't know. For some reason, this pissed me off that that's like sold in the stores. I can tell I'm getting old, because in my teens or 20s, I would not have thought that. But at 36 with 2 baby girls, yeah, I think that. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it beats going to prison for weed. But, I don't know. I just don't like it being around kids at all. I guess it's one of those trade-offs, you gotta make. How do you want the world to be? Whew. Yeah, we're definitely, my original goal was to go back home and then edit downstairs for a couple hours before the kids woke up. And that's not gonna happen now, because I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom when I get home. I had a little jump scare there, this leaf. Look at that scary leaf. Freaked me out. Yeah, I don't know if this is exactly Alex Christoforou material here. We're not on the streets of Greece, we're in the Ozarks. I'd love if Alex saw this video and commented on it once, though. That'd be cool. But I do think there are some gems, some nuggets in here. Some philosophical rants. Me and my wife were watching Post Malone's Tiny Desk concert last night. And he had this one part where he kind of acted like he didn't know the chords on guitar. And I immediately related to it as something I would do, just to kind of like disarm the audience. And yeah, it was weird, because me and Chas were thinking the same thing at the same time about it. But I don't know. See, then when I talk about it, it's weird to know you're on camera because you talk about something and then you're like, I'm kind of embarrassed about that. But then if you believe it, who cares? Whatever. Just be embarrassed. Keep going about your day. Don't stop making stuff. Get embarrassed and move on. Make some more. Have you no shame, sir? Not really. I mean, if it matters, but if it's me looking fat on a camera, no, I don't care. Or me feeling myself a little bit for a second, that's fine. I'm a beautiful creation of God. I can do that every once in a while. It's okay. It's okay for you to do it too. It's okay. I am still sipping on this coffee a long time here. I know I've told you guys about this before, but this is the trail I used to walk when I worked at the treatment center, and I would get off at 7 a.m. in the morning. I worked 11 to 7, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I liked it because when I got off work, I came out here and I walked around the trail. And it's always so nice. Right now it's like a perfect 65 degrees. But that was 2017, and I was just getting into crypto. And Ethereum was $9. And I remember walking around this trail when Ethereum popped, and it went from like $20 to $30 to $40 to $50 to $60. I think it went up to 150. It stayed there for a while. And then the next memory I have is me and Chas being on our honeymoon and the ICO boom. I was in, where was that at? Not Hot Springs. Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Beautiful little hippie town in the Ozark Hills. And I was in the Walmart Museum. I don't think that's in Eureka Springs, but I remember checking the Ethereum price. It's $350. I was using private internet access, VPN, at the time. I think it was the first time I ever used a VPN. I liked the guy because he was into Bitcoin Cash, I think. Can't remember. But yeah, now Ethereum's what, $1,800? Started following Avalanche at $3. If I could go back, I would have learned how to do an ICO. Not me do it, but how to participate in it. But it's just funny. That's another thing, getting older and wiser, is you worry about being a little guy, because when something like an ICO comes out, everybody's like scaring you about it. I remember listening to a bunch of old financial dudes, and they're like, there's no way this is legal. Then you fast forward 6 years and nobody's done a damn thing about it, except a bunch of people became millionaires because they didn't listen to people like that. So that's capitalism, baby. If you don't like being on the frontier of new technology, then you're just going to be in a warehouse slaving away making somebody else's dream. That's how it works. You know, if Congress don't have the cojones to make some regulations and tell us what we can and can't do, then I'm not going to live in fear of them either. You shouldn't either. Regulation by fear. No. I'm not going to be afraid of you people. About money. About speaking the truth. I do think it's incredible. Avalanches went from $3 to $140 down to $11, and some people are predicting it'll go to $6. And it hurts to have not played that move exactly correctly, but the thing with capitalists is you can always bank on them having another crazy boom bust cycle, because that's how they make their money. So Save up your pennies and learn from your mistakes. Hit it right next time. There'll always be a next time. But if you're just working for a wage, unless you get a socialist government, that ain't gonna get you nowhere. Except the poorhouse, especially in America, where they try to throw credit cards at you, throw student loans at you, guilt trip you if you don't buy your kids this or that, guilt trip you if you don't get this or that degree, guilt trip you if you don't have a new car or a nice house for your kids to grow up in, get you in debt, so we keep you slaving away forever. Gotta look into that teacher loan forgiveness. Anything with a bureaucracy pretty much immediately makes me not want to do it, but I don't know, if you get 60 grand wiped off the books for doing something you like anyway, might as well give it a shot. Although I remember starting to look into it. There was a lady I talked to over COVID, and she was like, you need to do this now that you're sitting at home. And just being talked to like that was like, I'm not gonna do it if you talk to me like that. My son's sitting at home. Well, boomers, maybe look in the mirror and try to figure out why. Why are the millennials sitting at home? Is it because we're offered brilliant opportunities? But yeah, we got to look into that. Hopefully, I remember talking to somebody through it, and this is one of those things you just shouldn't listen to what people say. You should just try to do it yourself. But I remember somebody talking about, you have to make 10 years worth of payments at a certain payment rate. You can't just be on the, what is it that I'm on? Like, it's like a low income payment. It's like a bare minimum. I've paid on it for, I think, 10 years. Never touched the principal, which is just what they want. But hopefully it's just like the time goes by and then it's forgiven if you teach in an underserved school district, which I do. So don't say I didn't do nothing. I did. I like that. Woo, we got about 25 minutes worth of walking. It's gonna be a close one. Still drinking coffee. Still haven't killed this cup. Anyway, the rest of the day, I would like to edit for a couple hours, go to school, answer emails for a couple hours, clean my classroom for a couple hours, come home, do a couple live streams. I have a very involved trading process I'm doing right now, which I don't know if I can keep it up because it's about an hour of just concentrated effort, like very mental work, and I think it might be more trouble than it's worth. But I think I'm gonna try it, keeping it up till the end of the year, and then reevaluating whether it's a good idea or not. I would like to take any gains I make and then kind of reinvest them in like hardware. I'd love an amp miner to mine eCash. So that'd be like a cash sink, but then I think it would pay off in the long run for sure. And I was looking into a Caspa miner, but I think that ship has sailed. I believe, at least as far as these crazy returns we've seen lately. With those new KS3s coming online, I imagine that will get whittled down, and with the price falling. A lot of shills in the Caspa community, and you know, go with God, but pretty much got the tech and a hope and a dream right now. I got into it in the comments with the guy. My favorite crypto that like exists today that works is Avalanche. It's the team seems to under-promise and over-deliver, and they haven't they're always trying to build some like new real-world use case, like subnets for gaming and NFTs and artists like not stipends, what am I, like grants, foundation grants, I don't know. And then you use it and it's instant. It's fantastic. I'd love to run an Avalanche node one day myself. I hear it can kind of fry your router because it's so many connections a second. But I don't know. If it's feasible and possible, I'd love to do that. I'd love to just sit around and mess with tech. I don't know how people get bored. There's so much to learn. Learn the old Linux, learn the Avalanche, the eCash, the Caspa, whatever. Make up your own new one. Find a problem that hasn't been solved. Use your skills, learn that. But man, I do love teaching. I love reading Emerson and Thoreau every year, reading Mark Twain, reading George Orwell, Kurt Vonnegut. I think I'll always like that, no matter what happens with the money, or the YouTube, or the crypto. I'm blessed to have that. And blessed with an incredibly loving, amazing family. That's my real treasure. That is my real treasure. Everything else is just to occupy the mind, and the body, and the spirit, and the soul. Whew. Whew. Oh, it's okay to just walk for a while. It's okay. I tell you that filming all the way around Devil's Well Trail, 6 miles, up at the top of a hill, down to the river, and back up. That will be a lot of holding a camera. Ooh, human beings were here. But it'll be worth it, especially if the leaves are beautiful. For sure. Glad I got this 1 terabyte iPhone. It's so nice to be able to like fill it up for a year and not worry about it. Just dump it like once every year, year and a half, until you get a new one. I think my last one was, how much was it? I think I went from 64 gigabyte iPhone 6S, which was full pretty much the entire time I owned it, to this 1 terabyte 13 Pro. That's just been slick, smooth as butter from the beginning, and remained that way for over a year now. It's wonderful. Wonderful. I kind of like that. People complain that the iPhone doesn't change. I think at this point, I'm kind of glad it doesn't. It just gets faster. Faster with more space and a better camera. every year. What more do we need from this device? It does it all. Who did I used to listen to on the way out here? The guy that made the Ghost Gunner. What was his name? He was a law student. Cody Wilson. Really smart about political philosophy. I like to listen to him for that. They got him hung up on a weird, what was it? Sugar daddy website or something. It sounded like an FBI, CIA honey trap to me. Same thing they did to Scott Ritter. But I learned a lot from him. Learned a lot of philosophy names to look up and learn from. Another person that wasn't afraid to take on the state and was destroyed by the intelligence agencies of the state. Not destroyed, he's still out there doing his thing. I think I listened to an interview with him a while back, but interesting guy. I guess Scott's been taken off the old YouTubes. It's important to remember anyone with radical politics or genuinely progressive ideas. Our days are numbered on this website. I would say if we're still on here, it's just because they haven't really found us yet, but the algorithm knows all. It will break down every word I say and decide if it's naughty or nice. The YouTube algorithm is Santa Claus. I'm just going to tell my kids that. When they ask if Santa's real, I'll say yes. Santa is real, and he lives in the YouTube algorithm. Sometimes I'm an ornery dad. Like I told Molly that Jesus puts all the apple juice on the shelves in Walmart. It's kind of ornery, but I think Jesus would get a kick out of it. He's got a decent sense of humor. I don't like the whole oh, be reverent. We must be reverent of the Lord. You should be reverent of the Lord, but if he's the Lord, he can take a joke. You know? It's my unique religion. Christianity with humor. That would be nice. That might attract a few more people. Especially those that don't like the reverence woolies. I mean, I'm all down for being reverent every once in a while, being overcome with the awe of the numinous, as Christopher Hitchens used to say. Even I maintain a place for the numinous. But, come on. Oscar Wilde gets it right too. Life is too important to be taken seriously. And if I was God, and I created these little people beings that have to have their souls grow through suffering and pain, I would want them to have a good time, crack a few jokes, especially at my expense. You know? It's hard to respect a meat slave that doesn't rebel a little bit at the insanity of the conditions in which they've been placed. Beautiful conditions as well, don't get me wrong. I love being here. I love learning these difficult lessons. But, gotta have a little levity about this thing. You know. Whew. I said I need one of them beekeeper hats. These cobwebs are brutal. What do you think happened to that tree? These trees. Fern Gully would be upset. Oh. Need to find a nice 1 hour loop trail. Although sometimes I feel some of my best musings come out around the 1 hour, 10-minute mark. Because I'm comfortable with the fact that I'm talking to myself in the woods and I'm not really thinking about what I'm saying anymore. I think it's kind of the fact that the only people that are going to listen this far into the video must find me somewhat entertaining, so might as well let loose and not worry. Things like that. I don't know if you can tell from this video, but into public use area. I think you can camp out here. I think so. It says so on the website. It's open for primitive camping. That'd be a nice place for a hammock right in there. But yeah, my brain gravitates between. There's a little opening back there. I think some people live back there. Worrying about things, worrying about what can go wrong, and then just deciding, you know what, screw it, we're gonna do it anyway. And that's pretty much my mental psychology. If I choose courage, then I don't get depressed. And that anxiety kind of goes away if you just kind of lean into it. But if I don't choose courage, then I get depressed. And the end product of that is me not being around anymore. So there's really no other choice than courage. But then it becomes kind of consistency. I need to work on my J Myers-Briggs skills. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Consistency plus effort equals achievement. Can't remember if that's the name of the blog. I've been doing a Substack. Barely anyone looks at it, and that's fine. I don't really care. It's more for me than for anybody else. But that was a blog I wrote. Consistency plus, I can't remember if I said ability. I can't remember. Effort. Look at that tree. It's being eaten by the forest. It's cool. Oh, that frog is close. Oh, we had a good walk, y'all. We're coming up on the end point. I think we got about 15 minutes left in this walk. We gotta go across the big bridge. But Base in the Woods number 7. A little more timid. It's not very based, but that's pretty based. Can you see that spider? Ooh. It's hard to focus on him. You don't want to walk into him. That's based. I was about to say this wasn't based, and then I almost had a spider on my face. There's nothing more based than having a spider on your face. And I think it's pretty based to like feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what being based is all about. I do find it interesting that most of my Gen Z students, the yeet generation, the let's go generation, they don't know what based means. They've never heard that. Based is this thing that 35-year-old millennials say in political spheres on the internet. Gen Z is not into the based. I have to teach them our internet lingo. It's very interesting to teach Gen Z as a millennial, because we're both children of the internet, and then usually the administration or the higher up in management are often still boomers or Gen X, and they're into the internet, but they still like read the New York Times on their iPads and things like that. They're not on Reddit. They're Web 1.0. Millennials, Web 2.0. And we're building Web 3.0 together, the Gen Z and millennial crowd. And the boomers and Xers are really not into Web 3.0 unless they're like investing in it or they're a programmer. Nice and bright now in the pines. Oh, what's going on? There's the pines. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. Maybe that could be a thumbnail. Oh. Hey, I've almost drank all this coffee. I think I did drink it all. Oh, no, it's leaking down. Can't get out my Irish shirt. Ah, well. Embarrassing yourself on the internet is good. It's good to have coffee all over your face on the internet. Why not? Woo. Oh yeah, now I got some definite coffee on my Irish shirt. Ah well, go home, throw it in the wash. Coffee's a hard one to get out. Coffee, mustard, permanent marker like a Sharpie. Those are the unholy trinity that come to mind off the top of my head. Sometimes oil, if you get oil in something, that'll ruin it. I splurge for the deodorant that doesn't ruin your shirts now, because I've ruined so many shirts with Irish Spring. It's a couple extra dollars, but it's nice not to ruin your clothes with the, I don't even know what it's called. What is the fancy deodorant? Can't think of deodorant brands right now. That's okay. Making content in the woods. Making content. Another phrase I never thought I would say out loud. Kind of cringe. Cringe is a word that encompasses millennials and Gen Z. Everyone understands the cringe, A lot of my shorts videos, if I look at the comments, it just says cringe, but I just claim that's a bot and then go on about my day. That's not a quality comment. I don't think I've ever wrote that comment on anyone's post ever. It's not a nice thing to say, but hey, I appreciate the engagement. It helps with the algorithm, so I hope you all write cringe on this video in all caps. Cringe, exclamation mark. Put the cringy face too. Put 3 of them. Like that. Ooh, I like this when the sun shines through. Yes. Beautiful. I'm trying really hard not to. Yeah, I think that lens looks so much better. 3x lens, not so much. The 1x Definitely looks better. Ah, 1 hour and 45 minutes. We've taken a gingerly stroll today. A gingerly stroll. I think this lark zaps my battery a little more than the normal camera, but hopefully we'll get a consistent audio level. The iPhone camera, when I pull it away like that, you can barely hear what I'm saying. So this lapel mic's kind of nice. There are more expensive versions of this lapel mic. Most of them weren't iPhone native though. Like this one's nice because you can just plug it in and it automatically works with the iPhone. The other ones would like work with external recorders, which is pretty cool. And I'm really proud of myself that I learned in DaVinci Resolve how to fix audio that like isn't in sync over time. Like if you record audio for like a couple hours like this externally, like with a more high quality microphone, and then you try to link it up later, it will waver. So the end of the file will not be in sync with the beginning of the file, and you'll be talking and the lips don't match the words. But I figured out how to fix that in DaVinci Resolve. It's I can't remember the name of it. I'll probably have to look up the YouTube video again. But it was like, I think it was like waveform. It's kind of like warping, like in Ableton, but actually it's just like warping in Ableton. But you can do it in DaVinci Resolve. It's just like if you do a clap at the beginning and a clap at the end, then you can just sync up those claps. And a clap in the middle maybe somewhere to make it perfect. Can't remember the name of it. It was something like floating waveform morph or something like that. I saw a guy show me how to do it. He did it on his podcast and I did it. It worked fantastic. I loved it. So learning as we go here. It took me a year to learn that. I still think I'm going to do my audiobooks in iMovie, because I just like the simplicity of the interface for such a simple task. DaVinci's more for like cuts and edits and effects, and I'm not gonna have any of that on my audiobooks, so I'm just trying to get the Master Key Society style down. And iMovie works pretty great for that. I do think, though, that on my outputs in GarageBand, I'm messing around with that. On the first episode of Dat Morning Show, I put like all the master channels as the defaults. I turned all those on. So it was like, has exciter on, has equalizer, has compressor, and I just let the set numbers work. And it's a very loud, full, compressed file. And I kind of like, I can't remember the word in audio engineering where you compare it to another file that's good. So I'd play Joe Rogan and then I'd play mine, and mine was a little louder than Joe Rogan's, which at the time I just felt like I'd completely failed. And once a couple weeks passed and I went back and listened to it, it sounded fine. It was like 90% of what I would want. So I'm bad about that. I gotta just hit release. That's why for me, doing things every day and releasing them is so important, because I'll have the opposite of momentum. I'll get hung up. My last audiobook I recorded, A New Christ by Wallace Wattles. I I recorded the whole book, which took about 6 hours, 5.5, and then I probably spent 4 or 5 hours editing it. Maybe it wasn't that long, I can't remember, but oh, look at the sun shining through up here, that's awesome. But anyway, I remember being done with it and like not even wanting to release it because I felt like my audio was different than my first one and I didn't like it, and I don't know. Thank God Kafka's friend released all his books. He didn't want to release all of them either. I'm not saying I'm Kafka, but I know the feeling of like, this isn't good enough for the world to see. Yeah, it is. Put it out, man. If it sucks, it'll fall back in the history and it'll just become a stepping stone on the path to doing something great. Or if it doesn't, that's fine too. You lived a life of purpose for you, making things, and that's way better than sitting around wanting to make things and being too embarrassed to try. So I'm excited this year they're bringing back Career Ladder, which is like we can do up to 100 hours and we get paid $5,000, I think, extra in May. So I think we're going to do a podcast for the kids. I think that'd be a great idea. I think I'm going to do it. Podcast club. 4 mics sounds about right, and swap kids in and out. We can talk about the news, whatever they want to talk about. That'll be a good excuse for me to figure out how to upload it to Spotify. We can make a Spotify account, and it could be really cool. Props to the assistant superintendent for giving me that idea. You're a good man, Nate. So we'll do that. Oh, here we're coming out of it. We're going to do some little drama stuff. I don't know if it's our attention spans have been zapped by the internet, but it's hard to do an entire play anymore. So I think we might just do some one-acts podcast. I've always wanted to do a stock market club. I thought that could be fun. Although I just trade one thing. It's kind of like watching paint dry, but they say that's how you make money. You get your excitement elsewhere, out here in the woods. Take a couple pictures. Ooh, get some nice sunshine on there. We gotta take that one. All right. We're about out of here, peeps. I'm gonna sit down here on the bench for just a second. Count to 11. Head back and get in the car. Hey, there's a can. We can pick up a little bit of trash today. We can get some virtue signaling in on the internet here. That's a little dirty. We're gonna let that rot away, I think. But I can throw away a Sprite can. Ooh, Dr. Pepper, that one's a little bit out in the water. Got it. Keep it clean out here, y'all. Keep it clean. In loving memory, Marty Paulson. This thing is not wanting to focus today. There we go. It's 11. I don't know if that cell phone tower has always been there. I know this one back here. There's one back here somewhere. But, anyway. Ow. Come back and get those beer cans one day. Next trip, we'll do take a Walmart sack and get those. But, yeah, another good walk. I bet we got our 10,000 steps in, and I'm interested to see how much battery we have left on this phone. I had it charged up about all the way. It should be all right. But... okay. Oh man, I love it out here. It makes my whole day, man. I'm telling you. Get your 10,000 steps in. Go walk around a lake in the morning. It's the best. Cans on the floor. Okay. Woo. All right, everybody. Oh, we're back where we began. The little trees, black ice, it doesn't smell anymore. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. All right, well, if you like that, thanks for chilling with me. God bless you guys. I hope you have a great week. If you're going back to school, I hope you have a fantastic school year. And if you want to support my philosophical ramblings and shadow work in the woods, I got a Patreon page, buy me a coffee, all that. I need to figure out what locals is. There's one of those too, but I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace out. Let's look forward to those nice autumn leaves on Devil's Well coming up September, October. Like, subscribe, all that stuff that makes me cringe. Love y'all. Peace.